She slapped me in the cafeteria because the new transfer student cried first. The sound cracked through the room, and for 3 seconds, the entire school went silent. Chloe Bennett stood in front of me with red eyes, shaking hands, and Mason Reed behind her, pretending to be hurt while hiding the smile he thought nobody could see. "Apologize to him," Chloe said. I tasted blood at the corner of my mouth. 2 years of helping her study, rewriting her application essays, building her competition projects, and staying at this school because she begged me not to leave, and she believed a boy she had known for 2 weeks over me. I did not yell. I did not grab her wrist. I did not beg her to watch the security footage. I only put my phone away, looked at her one last time, and said, "Remember this day. You just chose him." Then I walked out of the cafeteria. By the end of the hour, my transfer application was submitted. By the end of the month, I was gone. And by the time Harvard sent my acceptance letter, Chloe finally understood the person she slapped was the one holding her whole future together. Chapter 1. The Slap. Mason Reed looked better when he was pretending to suffer. That was the first thing I noticed. He stood in the middle of the cafeteria with one hand pressed to his chest, his laptop open on the table behind him, and a crowd forming around him like he had staged the whole thing for maximum visibility. Maybe he had. His voice broke in exactly the right place. "I do not want trouble," he said. "I just want to know why Ethan would delete my competition files." People turned toward me. I had been standing near the lunch line with a tray in my hand and a physics worksheet folded in my pocket. I was not near his laptop. I had not touched his laptop. I had not even spoken to him that morning. But Mason Reed had been at Westbridge Prep for 2 weeks, and somehow 2 weeks had been enough for half the school to treat him like a tragic hero. He was handsome in a soft, careful way, dark hair, blue eyes, expensive sneakers made to look casual. He had transferred from some private school in California and carried himself like every room should be grateful for the new plot twist. Chloe noticed him immediately. That mattered because Chloe Bennett used to notice me first. She pushed through the crowd. "What happened?" she asked Mason. He looked at her like he had been waiting for that exact question from that exact person. "My research folder is gone," he said. "The one for the Regional Science Challenge, the algorithm notes, the draft presentation, everything." Chloe turned toward me. "Why is everyone looking at Ethan?" Mason lowered his eyes. "I do not want to accuse anyone." That sentence was an accusation wearing perfume. One of his new friends, Tyler, spoke up. He said he saw Ethan by the computer lab earlier. I walked past the lab. I said, "I did not go in." Mason shook his head. "I respect you, Ethan. I really do. You are the best student here. I get why a transfer student joining the competition team might feel threatening." The crowd stirred. Threatening? That was clever. He had arrived, asked too many questions about our research team, complimented Chloe constantly, and now he was framing me as the insecure genius who could not handle competition. I set my tray down. "Check the login record." Mason looked up. "What?" "Every file movement on the school server is logged. Check it." His expression flickered. Only for a second. I saw it. So did nobody else. Chloe stepped closer to me. "Ethan, stop being cold." "Cold? Mason is upset and I am accused. You do not have to make this about yourself." I stared at her. My girlfriend of almost 2 years was standing between me and a boy she barely knew. Not beside me, between us. I took out my phone. I was in Ms. Carter's office during lunch prep. She can confirm. I also have location history if you want to see it. Mason took one step back. Chloe saw the movement and misunderstood it. Or, maybe she wanted to. "Why are you scaring him?" She snapped. "I am proving I was not there. He just lost weeks of work." "No, he claims he did." The crowd reacted. A few students murmured. Chloe's face flushed. "You are being cruel." I felt something inside me slow down. Not break, Slow. The way time slows when you finally see the car coming and understand there is no turning the wheel fast enough. Chloe, I said carefully. Look at the records before you decide. Mason whispered, forget it. I should not have said anything. He turned like he was going to leave. Chloe grabbed his arm gently. No, you should not have to run away because Ethan cannot handle being challenged. That was the sentence that moved the crowd fully against me. Mason lowered his head. I watched his mouth. There it was, a smile. Small, gone quickly, but there. Apologize, Chloe said. I looked at her. No. Her eyes widened. What? I said no. You deleted his files. No, I did not. Then why is he saying it? Because he wants you to believe him. That did it. Chloe lifted her hand and slapped me across the face. The sound was sharp, clean, public. My head turned with the force of it. The cafeteria went silent. For a second, all I could hear was the hum of vending machines and the blood rushing in my ears. Chloe's hand dropped. Her face changed immediately, but not enough. Mason stepped forward. Chloe, it is okay. Of course he said that. The victim comforting the attacker. The hero completing the scene. My mouth tasted metallic. I touched my lip and saw blood on my thumb. Chloe whispered, I did not mean. Then she caught herself, remembered the crowd, and hardened. Apologize to him, she said. I looked at her for a long moment. 2 years of late-night tutoring. 2 years of helping her turn B+ essays into A-level submissions. 2 years of rewriting her debate speeches. 2 years of building her confidence before every exam. 2 years of her saying, you are the only person who really believes in me. And in front of everyone, she chose the new transfer student's tears over my truth. I put my phone back into my pocket. I did not show the location record. I did not ask for a teacher. I did not defend myself a second time. I only said, remember this day. You just chose him. Her eyes flickered. I picked up my backpack and walked out. Behind me, the cafeteria began breathing again. Whispers, chairs, a few phones still recording. Mason's soft voice. Chloe saying my name once. I did not stop in the hallway. Liam Scott caught up to me. Liam was my oldest friend at Westbridge. A tall soccer player with a scholarship, terrible handwriting, and more loyalty than tact. Ethan, he said. Your lip. I know. She slapped you. I was there. Do you want me to get Carter? No. You have proof, right? Yes. Then use it. I stopped by my locker. Inside were books, a robotics medal, an old photo booth strip of Chloe and me from sophomore year, and a transfer packet from Street Anselm Academy that had been sitting there for 2 months. Street Anselm was a top preparatory school 40 minutes away. They had invited me after a summer research program. I had declined because Chloe cried when I told her. You promised we would finish high school together. She said then. So I stayed. I looked at the photo strip, Chloe laughing with her head on my shoulder. I took it down. Liam watched me. Ethan. I dropped the photo into the trash. Then I took the transfer packet from the shelf. What are you doing? What I should have done before. I went to the library, opened my laptop, and emailed Ms. Carter. Subject, Transfer Recommendation Request. Ms. Carter, I would like to reactivate my transfer application to St. Anselm Academy. If possible, I would appreciate your recommendation and transcript release support. Thank you, Ethan Walker. I sent it. My face still stung, my lips still bled, but for the first time in months, my hands were steady. 5 minutes later, Chloe texted, you walked away like I was nothing. I stared at the message, then I blocked her for the rest of the day. Not forever, not yet, but long enough to hear myself think. At 3:20, Ms. Carter replied, come to my office after school. Bring everything. I closed my laptop. Outside the library window, students moved across campus in golden afternoon light, like nothing important had happened. Maybe for them, nothing had. For me, the life I had been sharing with Chloe Bennett ended at lunch. The slap was only the sound it made when it broke. Chapter 2. Mason's Lie. Mason's first mistake was assuming I cared more about clearing my name than leaving. That afternoon, I went to the computer lab after everyone else had gone. The room was empty except for the low hum of desktops and the faint smell of dry erase markers. I sat at workstation 14, the one Mason claimed had been used to delete his files. I logged into the competition server with my student credentials. Westbridge Prep had mediocre cafeteria food, but its network logs were excellent. Every file movement was recorded. I searched for Mason's project folder. Moved, not deleted. Timestamp, 11:37 a.m. User, Mason. Read. Destination, Personal External Sync folder. I stared at the screen. So simple, so stupid, so effective. Mason had moved his own files, cried in the cafeteria, and let Chloe become the weapon. I copied the log. Then I checked access history on my own project folder. At 11:42 a.m., Mason's account had accessed my preliminary model outline for the same science challenge. Download attempt failed. At 11:44, he tried again through a shared team folder. Partial access. I leaned back. He had not only staged the missing files, he had tried to copy mine. I exported the records, saved screenshots, and uploaded copies to a private drive. Then I heard a voice behind me. Working late. Mason stood in the doorway. He no longer looked wounded. Without the crowd, he looked almost bored. I turned slowly. You moved your own folder. He smiled. Did I? The log says so. Then why are you still the one everybody watched get slapped? There it was. The real Mason. Not tragic, not fragile. Hungry. I closed the laptop. Chloe will see the records. Maybe, but she will remember how you made her feel today. Cold, superior, like you were judging everyone. You mean like I was innocent? He laughed softly. Proof does not matter if nobody wants to hear it. I stood. He did not move. You are not as smart as you think you are, I said. His smile sharpened. And you are not as loved as you think you are. That one landed because he knew where to aim. I had spent 2 years thinking Chloe knew me well. Enough to hesitate before striking me. I was wrong. Mason stepped closer. She told me you make her feel small. She told you that. She did not have to. I can see it. You fix her essays, correct her answers, plan her future. Do you ever ask what she wants? I looked at him. You are using her insecurity. I am listening to it. No, you are feeding it until it hates the person who helped her. His eyes flashed. For the first time, the mask slipped. You do not get to keep everything, he said. I am not keeping anything. What does that mean? It means Chloe is free to believe you. He frowned. That was not the reaction he wanted. He wanted anger, competition, a public fight where he could perform wounded nobility again. I gave him nothing. I picked up my bag and walked toward the door. He stepped aside, but as I passed, he said, She will ask you to apologize tomorrow. Tell her not to waste the walk. I left. In the hallway, my phone buzzed. Chloe. I unblocked her long enough to see the messages. You humiliated me by walking away. Mason is still upset. You need to apologize tomorrow. If you keep acting like this, maybe we need space. I looked at the last sentence. Maybe we need space. I typed one reply, then let's cool off permanently. I blocked her again. Not because I felt strong, because I did not, because if I kept the line open, I might explain, I might send the logs, I might beg her to be the girl I thought she was. And I was starting to understand that begging someone to trust you after they have chosen not to is just another way of accepting their verdict. A mess. Carter was waiting in her office when I arrived. She was the college counselor, but she also taught advanced writing seminars. She had gray hair, sharp eyes, and the rare adult ability to see teenagers as unfinished people rather than dramatic weather. She looked at my lip. Do I need to file an incident report? Yes. She raised an eyebrow. That was not the answer I expected. I want the video preserved. Good. And the computer lab logs. She leaned back. You have them. I placed the flash drive on her desk. Her expression changed. You were ready. No, I was late. She studied me for a moment, then opened the transfer packet. St. Anselm still wants you. I want to go. You what that means? Yes. It means leaving Chloe. That happened in the cafeteria. Ms. Carter did not soften the truth. Maybe she made a mistake. She made a choice. Sometimes people do both. I know. Are you leaving to punish her? I thought about that. No. Are you sure? No. She almost smiled. Better answer. I looked down at my hands. I am leaving because if I stay, I will keep being the person who explains himself to people who should have known better. Ms. Carter nodded slowly. That is a reason. She pulled out the recommendation forms. I will support the transfer. Thank you. But Ethan, understand something. Going to St. Anselm will not erase what happened here. I do not need it. Erased. What do you need? I thought of the slap. Mason's smile. Chloe's voice saying apologize. I need a place where I am not waiting for someone else to believe me. Ms. Carter signed the first form. That I can help with. When I left her office, the hallway was nearly empty. Near the trophy case, Chloe was waiting. Of course she was. Her eyes were red. Her arms were crossed. Mason stood 10 feet behind her pretending not to listen. You blocked me, she said. Yes. Are you serious? Yes. You cannot just end things by text. I did not. You ended them by hand. Her face twisted. I said I did not mean to hit you that hard. That hard. She flinched. I was upset. So was I. Mason lost his work. No. He moved it. She stared at me. What? I have the logs. Mason shifted behind her. Chloe looked back at him. He shook his head. Wounded again. Ethan is trying to confuse you. I laughed once. Chloe turned back. Angry. Why are you laughing? Because he learned you well in 2 weeks. Her hand clenched. This time she did not lift it. Progress. Maybe. I walked past her. She called after me. If you leave now, do not expect me to chase you. I stopped. Not because the threat mattered, because it was almost funny. I looked back. Chloe, I am not walking slow. Then I left her standing beneath the trophy case with Mason beside her. The next morning, St. Anselm offered me an emergency interview. Chapter 3. No second explanation. Chloe expected me to apologize the next day. I could see it in the way she stood by my locker. Before first period, arms folded, chin lifted, hurt ready to become forgiveness if I performed guilt correctly. A day earlier, I might have tried. I would have shown her the logs, explained the timestamps, asked her why she trusted Mason, asked her if 2 years meant less than 2 weeks. I might have lowered my voice so she would not feel embarrassed in the hallway. That morning, I opened my locker and began removing my things. Her confidence faltered. What are you doing? Cleaning out old papers. You never clean your locker. I am developing new habits. She looked at the stack in my hands. Debate notes, robotics forms, a spare calculator. The old photo strip was already gone. Her eyes moved to the empty space where it used to hang. You threw away our picture. Yes. That is mature. I thought so. Her cheeks flushed. People passed in the hallway, slowing just enough to listen. Chloe noticed. Public space made her sharper. You owe Mason an apology. I took my chemistry notebook from the shelf. No. You cannot just keep saying no. I can. It is efficient. Her eyes flashed. Why are you acting like this? I closed the locker. Like what? Like I am some stranger. I looked at her. You treated me like one first. She swallowed. For a second, the hallway noise faded. Then Mason appeared at her shoulder. Of course, he had timing like mold. Chloe, he said softly, you do not have to do this. She looked back at him with gratitude. Gratitude. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. Mason turned to me. Ethan, I do not want this to get worse. That makes one of us. His face flickered. Chloe stepped between us again. Stop threatening him. I am not threatening him. Then why do you keep acting like you know something? Because I do. Then show me. I studied her. The phone was in my pocket. The records were ready. I could end the argument right there. But the question beneath her demand was not, what happened? It was, can you prove yourself enough for me to forgive you? That was different, I said. Ask Ms. Carter. Chloe blinked. What? If you want evidence, ask an adult who has it. I am done explaining myself to a girl who hit first and asks questions later. Her mouth opened. Mason said, that is harsh. I looked at him. So was filing your own folder under a new path and crying about deletion. His eyes narrowed. Chloe turned to him. Mason. He shook his head quickly. He is twisting things. Ask Ms. Carter. I repeated, then I walked away. Chloe followed. Ethan, wait. I did not. She grabbed my sleeve near the counseling office. I stopped and looked at her hand. She let go. The memory of the slap lived between us now. Are you really going to make me chase down proof? She asked. No. I am giving you the chance to become the kind of person who checks. Her face crumpled for 1 second before pride rebuilt it. You are so arrogant. No. I am tired. I entered Ms. Carter's office. Chloe did not follow. Ms. Carter looked up from her computer, still transferring. Yes. She glanced through the open doorway at Chloe walking away. You told her to ask me. Yes. And if she does, tell her the truth. That may help your name here. I am not staying here. Ms. Carter studied me. There is a difference between leaving a school and running from pain. I know. Which one is this? Both. She nodded. Honest. We spent the next hour completing the transfer forms. St. Anselm wanted my transcript, disciplinary record, recommendations, and an interview by video the following afternoon. Ms. Carter hesitated over the disciplinary report. Technically, the cafeteria incident has not been resolved. Put it in. That could complicate transfer. Then include the pending evidence review. She smiled slightly. You want the whole record? Yes. Good. At lunch, I did not go to the cafeteria. I ate outside with Liam on the bleachers. He looked at my face, still red. Thank you. I meant the slap mark. I know. He opened a bag of chips. You leaving? Yes. St. Anselm? Yes. He nodded like he had expected it. Good. You are not going to tell me to stay? No. Westbridge has been using you like free Wi-Fi. I laughed despite myself. He grinned. There he is. Then his expression turned serious. Chloe came by math. She looked bad. Good. He raised an eyebrow. Do you mean that? No. Good. You are not dead inside yet. I am trying. Do not. Dead inside people are boring. After school, Chloe sent a message from Ava's phone. Please just talk to me. Then, another. I asked Mason. He said you were trying to ruin him because you were jealous. Then, if you really have proof, why are you being so secretive? I asked Liam for his phone and replied once. Because yesterday, I tried to show you proof and you slapped me before looking. Then I handed the phone back. Chloe did not reply. The next day, my street Anselm interview lasted 40 minutes. Mr. Hayes, the academic director, looked over my research portfolio and said, "You built this policy model yourself?" "Yes." "And the competition team listed another student as public presenter?" "Yes." "Why?" I paused. "Because I thought helping mattered more than credit." He leaned back. "That is noble at 15, dangerous at 17. I am learning." He looked at me for a long moment. "Street Anselm is not easy." "Good." "People will compete with you." "Good." "Some will dislike you." "That is already familiar." He almost smiled. "Then I hope you come." That evening, the acceptance email arrived. St. Anselm Academy was willing to take me immediately for the spring term. I read the email 3 times, then I forwarded it to Ms. Carter, then to my parents. Then I sat at my desk and looked at the wall where my Westbridge schedule hung. 2 years with Chloe, 4 years planned. Gone in 1 cafeteria lunch. My mother knocked on my door. She had heard enough from school to know pieces, not all. "Ethan." I opened the door. She looked at the printed acceptance in my hand. "You are leaving?" "Yes." "Because of Chloe?" "Because of me." She looked at my cheek, then at the acceptance. "Do you want us to fight the school?" "No." "Do you want us to fight her parents?" "No." "What do you want?" I looked at the email again. "Arrive at St. Anselm on Monday." My mother nodded. Eyes wet. "You have it." That night, Chloe called 31 times. I did not answer. Chapter 4. Transfer. Westbridge tried to keep me. Not because they loved justice, because top students are numbers before they are people. Principal Evans asked me to come to his office with my parents, Ms. Carter, and the Dean of Students. He used the same tone people use for donors and disciplinary risks. "Ethan," he said, "we want to resolve this without rash decisions." My father sat beside me, arms crossed. My mother held a folder of printed emails. Ms. Carter looked bored in the way only experienced adults can look when someone powerful is wasting time. Principal Evans continued, "The cafeteria incident was unfortunate. Emotions ran high. We are reviewing the technical evidence." "Good," I said. "We can arrange a mediated conversation with Chloe and Mason." "No." He blinked. "No. No," my father said. He was slapped in front of half the school. Principal Evans shifted. "Yes, and that behavior is being addressed." "Was Chloe suspended?" "We are considering appropriate response." "Was Mason removed from the competition team?" "The matter is under review." I looked at him. "You want me to stay quiet until the school decides how much truth is convenient?" His face tightened. "That is not what I said. It is what you need." Ms. Carter coughed lightly. My mother slid the printed transfer acceptance across the desk. "Ethan is enrolling at St. Anselm." Principal Evans looked at the paper like it had personally betrayed him. "This is very sudden." "So was the slap," my father said. I almost smiled. The meeting ended with promises, investigation, fairness, support, regret. Words that would have mattered before the cafeteria. At my locker, I found Chloe waiting again. This time, she looked different, less angry, more afraid. "You are really leaving," she said. "Yes." "Principal Evans said you were transferring." "Yes." "Why would you do that?" I stared at her. She hurt herself and looked away. "I mean, why not wait until the investigation finishes?" "Because my decision is not waiting for your evidence." She swallowed. I asked Ms. Carter, and she said there are logs. Yes. She would not show me details because the school is reviewing them. Chloe's eyes filled. "Mason said you are manipulating the teachers." Of course he did. I do not know what to believe. That is the problem. She stepped closer. I was confused. You were violent. She flinched. The hallway seemed to sharpen around us. I did not mean to hurt you. You meant to make me apologize. Her face crumpled. Ethan, please do not transfer just to punish me. I am not punishing you. I am removing myself. The words landed. She looked like she wanted to argue but could not find a way around them. You promised we would apply to college together, she whispered. You hit me because a transfer student cried. She closed her eyes. I was wrong. Maybe. Her eyes opened. Maybe you do not believe it yet. You are scared I am leaving. That is different. She reached in her bag and pulled out the photo strip I had thrown away. I stared at it. She had taken it from the trash. I kept it, she said. Then you should keep it. I walked past her. Ethan. I stopped. If I find out Mason lied, then what? I looked back. Then you will know you hit the wrong person. She covered her mouth. I left Monday morning. I turned in my student ID. Liam walked me to the front gate. You know, I am still going to text you homework questions, he said. I assumed. Good. Do not get fancy at Rich Genius School and forget the peasants. You are at Westbridge Prep. I said what I said. We hugged. Then he pulled back and glanced toward the building. Chloe is watching. I did not turn. Goodbye, Liam. My mother's car waited at the curb. I placed my backpack in the trunk and got in. As we drove away, Westbridge shrank in the side mirror. The brick building, the courtyard, the cafeteria windows, the place where I had spent years trying to belong. My phone buzzed. Chloe. I let it ring. Then a message. If you leave now, I do not know how to fix us. I typed nothing. My mother reached over and turned the phone face down. Look forward, she said. So, I did. St. Anselm Academy sat on a hill outside the city, all stone buildings, old trees, and quiet lawns. It looked like a place designed to produce people who used words like fellowship without irony. Mr. Hayes met us at the admissions office. Ethan, he said. Welcome. No drama. No whispering crowd. No Mason. No Chloe standing between me and my own name. Just a new ID card, a new schedule, and a dorm key I would not use because my parents wanted me home for now. Mr. Hayes walked me through the science building. You will join the advanced research seminar Wednesday. Already, you wanted a place where you did not have to wait to be believed. We tend to test quickly here. I looked at him. He smiled. Ms. Carter mentioned something. Of course she did. That afternoon, I sat in a seminar room with 6 students who had already read my project abstract. They asked hard questions, real questions, not who I was dating, not what Mason said, not why my girlfriend slapped me. They asked about model assumptions, data bias, policy outcomes. A senior named Priya challenged my methodology for 12 straight minutes and then said, "Good. You can defend it." I did not realize how badly I had needed that until I walked out of the room breathing easier. That evening, Chloe discovered the shared study folder was gone. She texted from Ava's number. "Did you revoke my access to the notes?" I replied one final time. Yes. Then I blocked Ava's number, too. Chapter 5. Without me, Chloe's first test without my notes was calculus. She scored a 74. That number reached me through Liam, who sent a message with no greeting. She got a C. Mason told people the teacher made it unfair. I stared at the message longer than I should have. Then I replied, "Tell her nothing from me." Liam sent back, "Obviously, I am loyal, not stupid." For 2 years, I had organized Chloe's academic life with a precision I never applied to my own emotions. Every Sunday, I built her study schedule. Every Wednesday, I reviewed her essays. Before exams, I created practice packets. Before competitions, I edited her outlines. Before interviews, I asked mock questions until she stopped sounding like she was trying to impress people and started sounding like herself. She used to say, "I do not know what I would do without you." Now she was learning. It did not feel as satisfying as I expected. At Street and Anselm, there was no time to watch her fall. The place moved fast. Mr. Hayes placed me in advanced research seminar, multivariable calculus, computational modeling, and a public policy lab connected to a nearby university. My first week felt like stepping into a river with a current strong enough to punish hesitation. I loved it. On Thursday night, I stayed late in the library with Priya and a junior named Marcus Lee, who wrote code like he was arguing with God. Priya looked at my draft model. "This section is too polished." I blinked. "That is a criticism." "Yes. You are hiding uncertainty because you are used to presenting for people who need confidence. Stop doing that." Marcus nodded. "Uncertainty is where the interesting stuff lives." I stared at them. At Westbridge, people wanted answers that sounded finished. At Street and Anselm, people wanted the scar tissue of the thought. I rewrote the section. At midnight, Mr. Hayes found us in the library. "Go home," Priya said. "We are working." "You are teenagers. Pretend badly." Marcus packed immediately. I hesitated. Mr. Hayes looked at me. "Ethan, a place that values you will not require exhaustion as proof." That sentence followed me home. Meanwhile, at Westbridge, Mason began promising Chloe he would help. He gave her essay templates filled with empty phrases. He told her competition judges liked emotional framing more than technical clarity. He said Ethan's notes were rigid. Chloe tried to believe him. Her next debate practice went badly. Her foundation internship essay came back with comments. Vague, unfocused, lacks specificity. Liam sent me nothing about that. Ava did. She created a new email address because I had blocked everything else. Subject: I know you. Do not want this, but you should know. Ethan, Mason is not helping Chloe. He keeps saying he understands her better, but he cannot actually do the work. She is falling apart. Also, I saw him in the computer lab before the cafeteria incident. I did not think it mattered then. Now I do. Ava. I read the email, then I forwarded it to Ms. Carter. No reply to Ava. Ava sent another 2 hours later. I am sorry we all believed him. I closed the laptop. Apologies were beginning to arrive, but they felt like mail delivered to an address I had already left at the end of my second week at Street. Ansel. Mr. Hayes called me into his office. We are nominating you for the National Young Scholars Research Challenge. I looked at him. That deadline is in 3 weeks. Yes. My project is not ready. No project worth submitting ever feels ready. I laughed once. He smiled. Good. You are not entirely grim. I have been told I am difficult. By whom? People who wanted easier answers. Then take it as a compliment. He handed me a packet. The challenge has a policy analytics division. Your model fits. If you can sharpen the uncertainty section and build a stronger dataset explanation, you have a shot. A shot at what? Winning. I looked down at the packet. For the first time since the cafeteria, the future looked larger than the wound. That night, I worked until 1 a.m. Not because anyone needed me to save them, because the work was mine. At 1:12, a security alert appeared in my email. Unauthorized login attempt detected. Old Westbridge share drive. Username, Mason Reed. I sat back slowly. Mason had tried to access my archive competition folder. Again, this time the system caught him. I saved the alert, then I sent it to Ms. Carter, Mr. Hayes, and myself. No commentary. Just evidence. Mason Reed still did not understand. Proof matters when you stop begging the wrong people to hear it. Chapter 6. Mason cracks. Mason submitted his regional science challenge proposal on a Friday. By Monday, It was being quietly questioned by 2 teachers and loudly praised by 3 students who liked his hair. The title alone told me enough when Liam sent a screenshot. Adaptive Resource Equity Model for Urban Education Access. That was close to my old Westbridge project title, Adaptive Resource Allocation Model for Urban Education Equity. Mason had not stolen the whole thing. He had done something more irritating. He had taken the skeleton and dressed it badly. Ms. Carter requested the file history. Mason delayed, then he claimed his laptop had sync issues, then he blamed the school server, then he said Ethan had probably planted confusing metadata before transferring. That last part was desperate enough to become useful. Ms. Carter emailed me formally. Ethan, please provide any original drafts, timestamps, model notes, and version history related to your former competition project. I sent everything. Original code, draft outlines, Git history, date stamp charts, a version of the model with a typo in, the variable label that Mason had accidentally preserved. People who plagiarize often copy the mistakes because they cannot recognize which parts are errors. At Street and Cell, Priya read the email over my shoulder and said, "This Mason person is not bright. He is socially bright. That is often the most dangerous kind of dim." Marcus looked up from his laptop. "Can I see the copied variable?" I showed him. He laughed. "He copied your bug." "Not a bug, a mislabeled placeholder." That is what people say when they love their bugs. Mr. Hayes did not laugh when I told him. He asked, "Do you want this handled quietly?" "No." He nodded. "Good." At Westbridge, the investigation widened. The cafeteria incident was no longer just about a missing folder. It was about Mason's access history, his attempted download of my files, his false claim, Chloe's slap, and the school's failure to act quickly because the story had been socially convenient. Ava emailed again, subject, I told Ms. Carter. Ethan, I told her. I saw Mason in the lab. Chloe knows now. She is not okay. Ava, I did not reply. Chloe sent a message through the same email address. I know you probably will not read this. Ava gave me the address. I saw the logs. I do not know what to say. That was all. For the first time, she did not ask for anything. I still did not reply. At Street and Cell, the research challenge deadline approached like a storm. I worked with Priya and Marcus every evening. Priya tore apart my policy assumptions. Marcus optimized the simulation. Mr. Hayes made me explain the project aloud until I stopped sounding like a student defending a grade and started sounding like a researcher defending a question. You keep rushing the conclusion, Mr. Hayes said one night. I want it clear. You want it unassailable. Is that bad? It is impossible. Better to be honest than invulnerable. Invulnerable, that was the word. Since the slap, I had been trying to build a version of myself nobody could misjudge. Harvard did not need that version, neither did I. I rewrote the conclusion. At Westbridge, Mason finally cracked during a teacher conference. A mess. Carter asked him to explain the statistical method in his model. He talked for 3 minutes and never answered. Then the computer science teacher asked why his file contained remnants of my naming structure. He said we had collaborated. Mess. Carter asked why I had no record of collaboration. He said I deleted it. Then the dean showed the login attempt alert from after I transferred. Mason stopped speaking, according to Liam. Chloe was sitting outside the office when Mason came out. She stood. He tried to walk past her. She said, "Did you lie?" He said, "Ethan made it look worse." She said, "Did you lie?" He did not answer. That was apparently enough. Chloe did not slap him. I noticed that when Liam told me. Maybe she had learned. Maybe she no longer trusted her own hand. That night, Chloe sent a longer message. Ethan, I saw enough today to know I was wrong. I should have looked when you tried to show me proof. I should have trusted you. I should never have hit you. I do not expect you to answer. I just need to say I am sorry. Chloe. I read it. Then I saved it in a folder called Westbridge. Not Chloe. Westbridge. Because she was no longer the whole wound. She was part of the place I had left. The next morning, Mr. Hayes handed me a printed copy of my research challenge submission. Ready? No. Submit anyway. I did. 3 weeks later, I became a finalist. Chapter 7. The Truth Returns. Westbridge held a formal review meeting. On a Wednesday afternoon, I was there. That was important. For once, they discussed my name without requiring me to stand in front of them and bleed. Ms. Carter called afterward. I want you to hear this directly, she said. I was sitting outside the Street Anselm Library with my laptop open and a half-eaten sandwich beside me. All right, the review confirmed Mason moved his own project folder before the cafeteria incident. It also confirmed he accessed your project materials and later attempted to access your archive drive after you transferred. I looked at the campus lawn. Students crossed between buildings, carrying books, laughing, arguing about exams, life continuing. And Chloe, her conduct is being handled separately. I did not ask how. Ms. Carter continued, Principal Evans will issue a correction to the internal record. The Science Challenge team will remove Mason's submission. Your disciplinary file will show no wrongdoing. Was there ever anything in my disciplinary file? A preliminary note. I almost laughed. I got slapped, and they made a note about me. I know. Her voice softened. I am sorry, Ethan. You believed me. I should have pushed faster. Maybe. She accepted that. Chloe watched the cafeteria video today. I closed my eyes. The video I had avoided imagining it. My face turning, her hand dropping, Mason stepping in, me walking away. She asked if she could send you a message through me. Miss Carter said, no. I expected that. Did she apologize to the school? She did, publicly, in the grade assembly. That surprised me. What did she say? That she had hit a student without evidence, believed a lie because it was easier than admitting she did not understand someone she claimed to care about, and that the rumors about you were false. I said nothing. Miss Carter waited. Finally, she said, you do have to feel relieved. Good. Because it may feel insulting first. It does. Truth arriving late often does. After the call, I sat there until the sandwich went dry. Priya found me. You look like someone apologized poorly. Accurate. She sat beside me. Want to talk? No. Want to pretend to talk about model validation while actually being sad. That sounds better. So we did. At Westbridge, the student forum exploded. The original cafeteria video resurfaced, followed by screenshots from the investigation summary. Students who had commented laughing emojis under the slap video began deleting posts. Others wrote vague public apologies about not knowing the full story, which is what people say when the full story was available but inconvenient. Liam sent me one screenshot. Tyler posted, we all owe Ethan an apology. Liam added, Tyler laughed the loudest. Want me to trip him? I replied, no. He replied, emotionally trip him. I almost smiled. Ava sent another email. Chloe spoke today. I think she meant it. I read it and closed it. Meaning it did not reopen the door. That night, Chloe sent a message from her own school email. The subject line was, no excuses, Ethan. Ms. Carter said she would not pass messages, so I am using school email. You can block this, too. I watched the video today. I saw you trying to take out your phone. I saw myself stop you. I saw Mason smiling before I slapped you. I saw you walk away. I have watched it 11 times. I am sorry. Not because I got caught being wrong, because I hurt you in the exact way you did not deserve. You spent years helping me think better, and when it mattered, I chose the story that let me feel needed by someone new. That is not your fault. I do not expect forgiveness. Chloe. This time, I did reply. Not forgiveness, not comfort. 2 words. I know. She did not send anything after that. Maybe she understood. Maybe she cried. Maybe both. The next day, the National Young Scholars Research Challenge announced finalists publicly. My name appeared under Street Anselm Academy. Within an hour, the link reached Westbridge. By lunch, according to Liam, the cafeteria had gone quiet when someone read it aloud. Ethan Walker, finalist. Not expelled. Not jealous. Not guilty. Gone. That was the first moment I realized leaving had become more powerful than winning an argument. Mason was suspended from the competition team. Chloe resigned from the team voluntarily. Westbridge corrected the record, but none of that rebuilt what broke. It only stopped the lie from continuing at St. Anselm. Mr. Hayes called me into his office. Congratulations, he said. Thank you. Now make the finalist presentation better. I stared at him. That is your celebration. You want balloons? No. Good. Your slide 3 is weak. I laughed for the first time in months. The laugh did not hurt. Chapter 8. The First Medal. The National Young Scholars Research Challenge was held in Boston, which felt like a cruel preview of a dream I had not admitted out loud yet. Harvard was 20 minutes away. I tried not to think about that. I failed. The competition hall was filled with students who looked like they had been assembled in laboratories dedicated to ambition. Blazers, laptops, lanyards, parents whispering strategy, teachers pretending not to be nervous, judges with clipboards and faces trained not to reveal whether they liked you. My project was called Adaptive Resource Allocation for Urban Education Equity. It was about using predictive modeling to identify schools at risk of resource failure before the failure became visible in test scores. Not glamorous. Not easy to explain in one sentence. Not the kind of project Mason could make sound impressive without understanding it. I stood beside my poster while judges approached. The first asked about data set bias. The second asked about implementation cost. The third asked why my model allowed uncertainty bands instead of providing hard rankings. I thought of Mr. Hayes, better honest than invulnerable, because false certainty is how bad policy hides. I said, the model should guide intervention, not pretend to replace judgment. The judge nodded. That nod carried me through the rest of the morning. Priya and Marcus had come with the Street Anselm team. Priya stood near the back and mouthed, "Slow down." Every time I started talking too fast, Marcus filmed part of my presentation and later said, "You looked almost human." High praise. When awards were announced, I expected nothing. Not because my project was weak, because I had learned not to build identity out of ruins I did not control. Then the announcer said, Gold Award in Policy Analytics, Ethan Walker, St. Anselm Academy. For 1 second, I did not move. Priya shoved my shoulder. Go, idiot. I walked onto the stage. The metal felt heavier than it looked. People clapped. Not like the cafeteria crowd. Not hungry. Just applause. Clean. Mr. Hayes shook my hand after. You did good work. Thank you. Not perfect work. I know. Good. Perfect work is usually dishonest. I smiled. That evening, St. Anselm posted the award announcement. Within minutes, Westbridge saw it. Liam sent a screenshot of the old school forum. Someone wrote, "Imagine slapping a future Harvard admit over Mason Reed." Liam added, "They are predicting now." Efficient. I typed, "I am not in Harvard." Yet. He replied, "Yet is doing a lot of work." The next day, Chloe saw the photo. I know because she emailed me. Congratulations. You look happy. I stared at the sentence. It was small. No apology attached. No request. I replied, "Thank you." That was all. At Westbridge, Mason's world continued shrinking. His parents appealed the suspension. The school expanded the review. His old school in California was contacted. Rumors surfaced about similar incidents, borrowed essays, disputed group projects, social manipulation wrapped in fragility. I did not follow closely, not because I was above it, because my life had become demanding enough to make revenge feel inefficient. Chloe's grades continued to slip before they stabilized. Ava later told me that Chloe had stopped asking Mason for help weeks before he was fully exposed. She started meeting with teachers, writing her own essays, failing drafts honestly, crying less publicly. Good. I wanted her to grow. I just did not want to stand close enough to be used as evidence of it. At St. Anselm, the Harvard conversation began quietly. Mr. Hayes called me in after the medal. Do you want to apply early action to Harvard? No, to Clown College. Yes, Harvard. I blinked. I was thinking MIT, Princeton, maybe Yale. You can apply to those, too. Harvard is reaching. Yes, for everyone. That is the point. He opened my file. Top, academics, national gold medal, strong research, policy angle, personal essay potential, recommendation from me, recommendation from Dr. Sato at the university lab if we ask early. I looked at the file. What would I write about? He leaned back. Not the slap. I almost laughed. That was direct. Admissions officers are not therapists. They do not need a revenge story. They need to see how you think. What if the slap changed how I think? Then write about leaving an environment where truth depended on popularity and learning to build systems that preserve evidence before power distorts it. I stared at him. That is better than the slap. I know. That is why I am employed. That became the spine of my essay. Not Chloe, not Mason, not cafeteria humiliation, evidence, systems, leaving, rebuilding. The first draft was terrible, too polished, Priya said, too defensive, Marcus said, too much like a closing argument, Mr. Hayes said. I rewrote it 7 times. Westbridge, Chloe requested my old essay notes from Ms. Carter. Ms. Carter refused. Chloe did not ask me. That mattered. Maybe she had learned that not every loss could be solved by reaching back. Maybe we both had. Chapter 9. Harvard Season. Application season made everyone slightly insane. Even St. Anselm, a school where students pretended to be above panic while color-coding panic in the spreadsheets, became a pressure cooker. The Harvard early action deadline sat on my calendar like a dare. Mr. Hayes made me list every activity, research, challenge gold medal, policy lab assistant, computational modeling seminar, debate captain at Westbridge before transfer, volunteer data work for education nonprofit, independent project on resource allocation. Then he made me cut the list down until it looked like a person instead of a resume built by a committee. Admissions officers can smell desperation, he said. Can they smell sleep deprivation? They are used to that. My personal essay took the longest. The opening draft began with the cafeteria. Mr. Hayes crossed it out. Too cinematic. It happened. Many things happen. Not all belong in paragraph 1. Priya read the second draft and wrote in the margin, "You are making Chloe too important." That stung because she was right. I had turned the essay into a story of betrayal when the real transformation was what I built afterward. The final version opened with a server lock, a time-stamped record that proved truth could exist even when nobody wanted to hear it. From there, I wrote about systems, evidence, and responsibility. How data can be used to protect the unseen. How leaving Westbridge taught me that correctness without communication can become isolation. How St. Anselm taught me that uncertainty is not weakness if handled honestly. It was not a revenge essay. It was mine. Mr. Hayes read the final draft in silence. Then he said, "There you are." I did not know how badly I wanted to hear that. Meanwhile, Chloe's application process was not going well. I heard less now, mostly because I asked Liam and Ava to stop sending updates unless something involved me. But some things still reached me. Her first personal statement was rejected by Ms. Carter as beautiful but hollow. Her mock interview went poorly because she tried too hard to sound impressive. Her grades recovered somewhat, but not enough to match the schools she once planned to apply to with me. Mason's record remained under review, and his family withdrew him from the Science Challenge circuit entirely. Ava said Chloe cried in the counseling office after realizing how much of her old application strategy had been built around my help. That was not my problem. I repeated that sentence often. Not my problem. It sounded cruel until it started sounding like air. 3 days before the Harvard deadline, Chloe emailed me. Subject: I need to say this before applications close. Ethan, I am not asking for help. I wanted to tell you that I finally wrote my own essay. It is not as good as what you would have helped me make, but it is honest. I wrote about how I confused being wanted with being right, and how I someone because I liked feeling needed by someone weaker than me. I do not know where I will get in. I just wanted you to know I am trying not to use people anymore. Good luck with Harvard. You deserve it. Chloe. I read it twice. Then I replied, good luck, Chloe. That was the first time I typed her name since leaving. It felt like closing a drawer. On the night before the deadline, I sat in the St. Anselm library with Mr. Hayes, Priya, and Marcus. My application was ready. Harvard College Early Action. The submit button looked absurdly small for something that carried so much imagined weight. Priya said, click it before we age. Marcus said, if you get in, remember I improved your simulation. Mr. Hayes said, if you do not get in, we continue. That was the sentence I needed. I clicked submit. The confirmation page appeared. Application submitted. No fireworks. No music. Just a line of text. I leaned back. For a second, I saw the cafeteria again. Chloe's hand. Mason's smile. My phone going back into my pocket. Then I saw St. Anselm, the library, the metal, the essay, the people sitting beside me who had not needed me to become smaller to keep them comfortable. Mr. Hayes stood. Now go sleep. Priya laughed. He does not know how. I can learn, I said. And for once, I did. Chapter 10. She came to St. Anselm. Chloe came to St. Anselm on a cold afternoon in November. I saw her before she saw me. She stood outside the main gate wearing a gray coat. Hands wrapped around a paper coffee cup she was not drinking. She looked different from the girl who slapped me in the cafeteria. Less polished. More tired. Maybe more real. Priya saw me stop. Is that her? Yes. Do you want backup? No. Do you want me to glare from a distance? That seems unavoidable. She nodded. Correct. I walked to the gate. Chloe looked up when I approached. Her eyes filled immediately. She did not step forward. That was good. Hi, she said. Hi. I know I should have emailed first. Yes. I was afraid you would say no. I would have. She nodded like she deserved that. I will leave if you ask. I looked at her. Say what you came to say. We walked to a coffee shop across from campus. Neutral ground with too many students and bad acoustic music. She sat across from me at a small table near the window. For a few seconds, neither of us spoke. Then she said, I saw the final report. I heard Mason admitted enough. Good. He transferred out. I heard that, too. She swallowed. I came because I need to apologize to your face, not because I think it will fix anything. I waited. She folded her hands together. I hit you because I wanted the simple version. Mason was hurt. You were cold. I could be protective. I could feel like a good person. If I looked at your proof, I might have had to admit I was enjoying being needed by him. That was painfully honest. I said nothing. She continued. You helped me for years, and I started resenting you for being the reason I looked capable. That was not fair. I let Mason turn my insecurity into anger at you. Her voice shook. And then I slapped you. The word sat between us. Slapped. Not hurt you. Not reacted. Slapped. I am sorry, she said. I am sorry for believing him. I am sorry for making you prove what I should have known. I am sorry for asking you to apologize after I hit you. I looked out the window. Students crossed the street in the cold, laughing under scarves. Finally, I said, "Why now?" She looked down. Because I kept thinking if I apologized better, you might answer. Then I realized that was still about me. So I waited until I could come here and hear no. That surprised me. I looked back at her. And can you? Tears filled her eyes. I am trying. I nodded. I accept your apology. Her breath caught. But, I am not coming back. She closed her eyes. A tear slipped down her cheek. I know. I need to ask you something. I said. She opened her eyes. If Ms. Carter had not found the logs, if the video had disappeared, if Mason had kept crying, would you have believed me? Her mouth trembled. No answer. That was answer enough. I want to say yes, she whispered. I know, but I do not know. Thank you for not lying. She cried quietly. I hate that I became someone who needed proof after 2 years with you. So do I. She wiped her face. I still love you. I believed her. That was not the problem. I know. Do you still love me? I looked at the table. The easy answer would have been no. The truthful answer was more complicated. I love who we were before I learned how quickly you could become a stranger. Her face crumpled. That is fair. It is also over. She nodded. The coffee between us went cold. After a while, she pulled a folded photo strip from her coat pocket. The one from my locker. She placed it on the table. I kept it when you threw it away. I thought maybe one day I would give it back. I did not touch it. Keep it. Her eyes lifted. Why? Because I do not need proof that it happened. She folded it back slowly. At the door, she turned. Good luck with Harvard. Good luck with your applications. She gave a small, sad smile. Thank you. Then she left. Priya was waiting across the street with her arms folded. You okay? No. Good. You are processing like a mammal. I almost smiled. Was that your glare from a distance? Yes. Highly effective. That night, I received my Harvard interview invitation. I stared at the email for a full minute, then I laughed. Not because everything was fixed, because life had a strange sense of timing. Chapter 11. The Letter. Harvard decisions came out at 7 p.m. I told myself I did not care. That was a lie. At 6:30, I was in my room, laptop open, portal loaded, hands cold. My parents were downstairs pretending not to hover. Mr. Hayes had sent one message, whatever happens. Do not refresh like an animal. Priya sent, if rejected, we mock them. Marcus sent, if accepted, I require credit in your autobiography. Liam sent, open it already when it is time. Westbridge is gossiping like pigeons. At 6:59, I stopped breathing normally. At 7 o'clock, the button appeared. View status update. I clicked. The page loaded slowly. Then the word appeared, congratulations. I stared. For a second, I did not understand language. Then I read the first line, Dear Ethan, I am delighted to inform you that the Committee on Admissions has admitted you to Harvard College. I put my hand over my mouth. My mother screamed downstairs because apparently she had been refreshing her email, too. My father ran up and hugged me so hard my chair rolled backward. I laughed, then cried, then laughed again. The house filled with noise. Phones rang. Messages exploded. Mr. Hayes wrote, Good. Now finish your homework. Priya wrote, Acceptable. Marcus wrote, As your simulation consultant, I am proud. Liam wrote, Harvard. I am telling everyone you owe me emotional support royalties. I sat on my floor with the laptop open and read the letter again. Harvard. Not because Chloe slapped me. Not because Mason lied. Not because Westbridge failed me. Because after all that, I still built something. The news reached Westbridge before I posted anything. St. Anselm announced it first, along with 2 other early acceptances. Someone from Westbridge shared the post, then the old cafeteria video resurfaced again, now paired with my acceptance screenshot by students who did not understand that public vindication can still feel invasive. Liam sent a photo from Westbridge's assembly hall. Apparently, Principal Evans had mentioned learning from past mistakes in a speech about integrity. Convenient timing. The student forum turned into a memorial for everyone's guilt. I always knew Ethan was brilliant. No, you did not. Mason really ruined everything. Mason had help. Chloe did not post for 2 hours. Nothing. Then, at 9:14 p.m., she sent one message. Congratulations. Harvard is lucky. I replied, thank you. She sent another. If I had not slapped you that day, would you still be here? I looked at the sentence. There were too many answers. Maybe. No. I do not know. You would have found another way to doubt me. I might have stayed too long. Instead, I closed the message. No reply. At Westbridge, Mason's situation worsened. His disciplinary record now included academic dishonesty, false accusation, and attempted unauthorized access. His transfer options narrowed. His parents threatened legal action. The school's documentation held. The new transfer student who made everyone choose sides became the boy nobody wanted in their group project. That did not make me happy. It made the story symmetrical. Chloe's early application results came in the next week. She was deferred from her top school and rejected from one reach. She got into 2 solid colleges later, but not the dream list she once planned with me. Ava told me months later that Chloe cried when she saw my Harvard announcement. Not because she wanted my place, but because she finally understood that I had not been holding her back. I'd been holding her up. At St. Anselm, the celebration was quieter after the first day. There were still exams, projects, essays, chores. Harvard acceptance did not turn me into a legend. It turned into a sweatshirt my mother bought too early, and Mr. Hayes told me not to wear to class unless I wanted social consequences. I wore it once. Priya said, subtle. Mark said, traitor. I wanted MIT for you. I said, I have not committed yet. Priya rolled her eyes. You are going. I was. Deep down, I knew. One afternoon, Ms. Carter from Westbridge called. I wanted to say congratulations. Thank you. You earned it. That means a lot. She paused. The school is issuing a final correction letter regarding the cafeteria incident. Your record will be fully cleared. Chloe accepted disciplinary responsibility. Mason's submission has been invalidated. Okay. Do you want a copy? Yes. Do you want anything else from Westbridge? I thought about it. The locker, the cafeteria, the hallway, the photo strip, the slap. No. I said. Just the letter. When it arrived, I printed it and placed it in a folder with the Harvard letter. Not because they were equal, because one closed a door and the other opened one. That night, I took one last look at the old cafeteria video. I had avoided watching it. Now I pressed play. There I was, tray in hand, Mason performing pain, Chloe stepping forward, my phone half raised, her hand, the slap, my face turning, the silence. Then I watched myself say something and walk out. Remember this day. You just chose him. I closed the video. For the first time, I did not feel humiliated. I felt proud of the boy who walked away before he knew where he was going. Chapter 12. No return. Graduation season arrived with too many speeches about endings. St. Anselm ceremony took place on the front lawn under a white tent. My parents cried. Mr. Hayes pretended not to. Priya made a speech that managed to insult the administration and inspire everyone in under 5 minutes. Marcus wore sunglasses indoors for reasons nobody understood. I graduated with honors, not as the boy who had been slapped, not as the transfer from Westbridge, as Ethan Walker. That was enough. Westbridge held its graduation the following week. I did not attend, but the school sent the final correction letter officially signed by Principal Evans. It acknowledged that I had been falsely accused, that Mason Reed had manipulated competition files, and that Chloe Bennett's physical aggression had been addressed through disciplinary and restorative processes. Restorative, an interesting word. Some things cannot be restored, only recorded. Chloe sent one final email the night after her graduation. Subject: Last message. Ethan, I promised myself I would only send this once. I am sorry for choosing Mason's lie over your truth. I am sorry for the slap. I am sorry for turning your help into something I resented instead of appreciated. I am sorry I made you leave a place where you had done nothing wrong. I know you did better after leaving. I know that does not make what happened okay. I am not asking to restart. I am not asking you to answer. I hope Harvard gives you rooms where you never have to beg people to believe you. Chloe. I read it in my bedroom with a half-packed suitcase open on the floor. For once, her message did not pull me backward. I typed a reply. I hope you become someone who checks before choosing. Then I sent it. That was the last thing I ever said to Chloe Bennett. In August, I flew to Boston. My mother cried at the airport even though she had promised not to. My father hugged me twice. Liam came to the terminal wearing a shirt that said Harvard adjacent because he thought that was hilarious. Priya texted from her own college move-in, do not become unbearable. Marcus sent, become slightly unbearable. You earned it. Mr. Hayes sent, remember uncertainty. I boarded with one suitcase, one backpack, and a small box. Inside the box were 3 things: my old Westbridge student ID, a printed still from the cafeteria video taken 1 second after the slap. Not because I wanted pain, but because I wanted proof that I had survived being publicly misjudged, and my Harvard acceptance letter. When the plane lifted, I looked down at the city that held Westbridge, Chloe, Mason, and the version of me that once thought love meant staying where you were doubted. I did not feel hatred. Hatred would have kept them too close. At Harvard, the campus was green and old and alive with people trying to look less nervous than they were. I walked through the gate with students from everywhere. All of us carrying too much luggage and pretending the future was not terrifying. For a moment, I stopped and looked up. Not because I had won, because I had arrived. A month into freshman year, someone in my dorm asked why I transferred high schools. I could have told the whole story. The cafeteria, the slap, Mason, Chloe, the investigation, Harvard. Instead, I said, I left a place that taught me how important evidence is. He nodded like that made sense. Maybe it did. Later that night, I opened the small box, the student ID, the still image, the acceptance letter. I looked at each one once, then I closed the lid and put the box on the top shelf of my closet. Not hidden, not displayed, stored. Some memories do not need to be carried every day to remain true. I sat at my desk and opened a new notebook. My first Harvard seminar assignment waited on the screen. Difficult, unforgiving, mine. I picked up my pen for the first time in a long time. Nobody in the room needed me to explain why I belonged there, so I stopped explaining and started writing.